So welcome back, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today on our fourth GBM in this academic year. So my name is Maria. I'm a president of whatever this is, the self-organized group. Yeah, it's hard to tell, but anyhow, someone has to do administrative work. But again, this is in no means that I'm telling everyone what to do. This is just for purely administration purposes to basically organize the process and keep it rolling. And the main initiative we expect that comes from our members again. So let me quickly share my screen right now. Okay, so are you able to see my screen? Great, thanks. So again, we will continue talking about the ongoing events, and we've been talking before about the fundraising effort and uniting our efforts. I think we will leave it to the second half of our meeting. So our meeting agenda will flow as follows. We will introduce our main speakers. Today, Vasil is with us. And we will talk a little bit more about the SUSTA organization as it's been before, what it meant to be, and maybe we will have some discussion of what it should be in the future going on, and in the present, of course. And as I mentioned in the second half of the discussion, we will have an open floor where we will share what's going on in our communities, what we are working on in terms of our fundraising effort, or any other types of events in our clubs or just in communities, and then Q&A, closing remarks, whatever is left for the end of the meeting. Just a quick reminder, last meeting we carried out the election. There was a good turnaround of people, and all positions were open for everyone to apply for, and you can see the names of people who are responsible for each of the activities. But again, as I mentioned, don't rely too much that this will be the team that will be kind of telling you what to do, but rather you are the drivers in your community. You know better how the local background looks like, how the local community, what it feels, what it senses, what are the sentiments. And we are here just to help you, maybe to share experience, get experience from other clubs, and to create a community where we can all do this. So without further ado, any questions so far, by the way? So feel free to ask questions at any point. All right. So next, I would like to present Vasil. Vasil, would you like to take a floor from here and introduce yourself?
Yep. Yeah. So, hey, everyone. Pleasure to meet. I guess I was a president of SUSTA at one point. What is it? Maybe 7 years ago or so. Yeah, I guess I'll just briefly, as you guys kind of laid out some of the, some of the things that you'd like me to talk about. I can kind of briefly tell you the background of kind of what went down, and then, maybe we'll open, a good amount of time for Q&A, and you guys can ask me whatever other questions, or, you guys mentioned fundraising. I think I can give you some good pointers of how that could be done. But yeah, I guess high level, how I got involved in SUSTA. I got involved in SUSTA in 2012. I was studying finance in Baruch College, which is a public school here in New York. I was already a president of another organization. I was helping out exchange students, and I was pretty active on campus. I was I was a part of student government and all that other stuff. And so I kind of met a friend, Stanislav, who is another Ukrainian. I'm originally from Ternopil, been in the States. I guess I moved when I was a teenager. I still speak fluent Ukrainian. If I'm kind of, going off a fly here, since everybody's speaking English, but I can speak, fluent Ukrainian as well, if that's what you guys want to do. But yeah, I basically met Stanislav, and he was pretty involved in kind of bringing the organization down in terms of, basically we wanted to be active in terms of helping Ukrainian community. We didn't know how. So he kind of found this old organization that's, supposed to be like an organization that would help all the Ukrainian student organizations and be like an umbrella organization. So originally, this is all from kind of learning as we started the organization. The SUSTA was founded in 1954. It was, I think we met one of the folks that founded it. It was basically connected to UKK, which is like the main lobby organization. It was like pretty connected and from there it was pretty connected to the entire Ukrainian community. The organization at its peak, I think in the 80s, had around 8,000 members. I think it kind of died in the 90s. And then in early 2000s, or maybe mid to late 2000s, one group of students tried to pick it up and, do something about it, and then it died again. And then Stanislav and some of the folks kind of tried resurrecting it in 2011. And so I joined initially just to help them out. And so they were pretty active. So there was a board, and you guys might see, because some of those folks still have access and manage the page. So Mikita Safronenko, who's now very active with like a bunch of other organizations, he was in that group as well. He's now with, I think, UACC, and then the Razom, they send all the, all the bronezhilety, I'm blanking the English word, to Ukraine, to like Voronezh and everything. Yeah, body armor, yeah. So he was in that group, and then a couple other folks. We were pretty, so when we started that whole resurrection process, it was, I think Stanislav was like leading the organization, and he, there was an executive board, and they tried to write out like a constitution, how it used to be. And, like, I think they tried to bring in other student organizations, where at that time there weren't many student organizations that, like, at that time Ukrainian issues were not like as popular because it was pre-Euromaidan and all that. And so I think we got like couple clubs. I think Columbia University had a Ukrainian club. We connected with them. I think there was some soft connection with Rutgers, and we created a Ukrainian club in Baruch. And that's kind of how it was then. And then Euromaidan happened, and we were very involved in just doing Euromaidan stuff. There were like a protest and I see Stanislav joined as well. So, I guess just to, so he'll chime in as well. But yeah, basically with Euromaidan, we were just focused on organizing protests with other organizations. So we're pretty plugged in with, with like OCHSU, Razom, UKK, like everybody. It was like pretty much every weekend there was a protest. We would be part of organizing. I think Stanislav was like speaking at some of them. And so it was like literally that's what it was all about. And then after, kind of Euromaidan ended, then the war started. So then what we were doing, we would do seasonal fundraisers like Kolyada and stuff to fundraise money for the army. And so that's kind of, I guess, 2014, 2015. We did couple, I think like one season we did like a fundraiser. We raised like $7,000. We bought some, if I remember, some thermal vision for, stuff for.
What was the year, Vasil, when you did this?
2015, I think, if I remember correctly. So we We did. We had a footage somewhere with like the unit thanking us for it and all that stuff. But there are some pictures, I think, still on the SUSTA page. And then like pretty much the organization. So what was happening, and I was studying business, and so I started like pitching ideas that we should start doing some professional networking events to kind of bring, because it was easier to do. Like I knew people from the Ukrainian Institute here in the city, and we kind of cut a deal where they would give us a place for free if we can like bring more like young people. And so we kind of put together a pitch and went to the Ukrainian credit unions. That's where actually we can come back to this in terms of fundraising ideas. I believe that's kind of the easiest way, and we can help you guys fundraise for SUSTA through the Ukrainian credit unions if you guys like. But we basically went to all the Ukrainian credit unions and pitched them the idea that we'll do these professional networking events. And they kind of pitched in all about like $10,000 on these events. And so the way we kind of would do, we like organize these events where we actually we were investing in a lot of stuff to do these events like cheaply. So we like bought, for the Ukrainian Institute, we bought like a bunch of like glasses. We had like a whole set to do like really nice events. And so we would have like 100 people or so at all of our events. I think we did 4 to 5 events. Like we tried to keep it every quarter. I think it came out to like twice a year. And initially we started with like, I think the first one was like Network to Success, and we brought like people from finance and like engineering, and they spoke. It's like all Ukrainian descent. Actually, some of them are now like, I think Kathy is now like the president of the Ukrainian Institute. And then we moved into like some industry stuff. So we brought Adrian Slivotsky, who is like one of the big donors to Ukrainian Catholic University. He's like a partner at Oliver Wyman. He spoke at one of the events. And then we brought like a couple guys from big Ukrainian software firms, because it's like the second largest industry, and we kind of talked about that. So there were guys from DataArt, SoftServe, EPAM, and maybe Alex, if I remember correctly. And kind of after that, it was like 2016, all of us graduated, and it kind of started dying down. So it hasn't been really active since then, I would say. And I think, maybe 6 months or so, a group of folks reached out, trying to kind of revisit bringing the organization back. And I think we've kind of shared all of the information that we had. We have some pitch books. I found the Constitution. We have like, I guess, the domain to the last website. And yeah, like whatever else I was able to find. So like I shared that through Google Drive in the folder. And yeah, like we'd be happy to help you, like whoever wants to do whatever you guys want to do. If you want to get access to the Facebook page, which is probably the last kind of remaining piece. We have all the marketing stuff, like the logos in Illustrator and all the other stuff. I don't know, flyers, whatever else you guys.
That's actually great. Thank you very much for sharing. I have a question. Like, what was the status of organization? Was it like registered or non-registered?
No, so it was so because a lot of us were students, we like actually we thought it was registered. So one of the like girls created an LLC, which we used, but we never got the 513C status. I think Stanislav was preparing an application at one point to do that, but we never ended up doing that.
I think, well, hi guys, that's the first thing. I wanted to say, sorry for being late. I think the status of it was the organization had it many years ago. And then it just became inactive. And I think, once you become inactive for a few years, you lose the status or something like that. So
May I ask a question just to follow up here? Thank you, Vasily and Stanislav. And so there are two things. The one is incorporation, and the second one is tax exemption. So tax exemption is 501(c). Did you at any point, any one of you or any previous board ever incorporated?
So we did incorporate. I did forget to mention there is a bank account with I think a couple $1,000 in it that we were planning, I think, to pass on to the next group. So that account is incorporated, I think, through one of those entities. It's still active. They didn't close it, as far as I'm aware. But that's the way we're operating. But yeah, it's not a legal status. I think it's based on that LLC out of Philadelphia that one of the girls incorporated. And
so
know,
that LLC that LLC that is registered in Philadelphia, as you're saying, is there a incorporation paperwork somewhere done, and who has it? And if there's like any oh my god, the statute.
Oh, the articles of incorporation.
Yeah, the
I don't think I'm not sure. We know the girl that did it. I don't know whether she has. I think she used like a broker or whatever.
she's not gonna. She's not gonna respond. No, I think she actually pocketed some of the money that we raised actually. So I wouldn't reach out to her. Look, folks. Here's a simple thing. SUSTA or not SUSTA, it doesn't matter. What matters is what you do. If you want to organize a student organization, you can register a new organization. The reason it's called SUSTA is because back in the day, when it first formed, there were a bunch of different Ukrainian student clubs all over America, a bunch of different Ukrainian organizations all over America, and SUSTA was organized sort of as an umbrella organization, just like UKK is for all those other mature or adult organizations. It doesn't make sense to sort of follow the same organization in modern day because there aren't that many active clubs all over America. What you can do is sort of repeat what Canadians have done, Ukrainian Canadians, I mean. And their organization is called SUSK, Спілка українських студентів Канади. Одним словом, it's organizationally, I think it's much better than to try to organize non-existent organizations. Just create one organization that will include all students. And yes, you can help, students in different places, organize clubs. And I think we even prepared booklets and instructions, guides on how to create local clubs and how to get financing from your educational institution. So you can use that, but whether it's SUSTA or not, it doesn't really matter. The legal structure, all that. To be honest, we wasted a bunch of time on it back in the day. Don't waste your time on it. We can give you the page as long as you do something and do something useful. Nobody's holding on to it. If we have free time, we'll help you. So yeah, you can even form a new organization. We can write on the page that we've transformed or whatever, and we can rename the page. I don't think, to be personally, that's just my personal opinion, I don't think it makes sense to bring something back that doesn't really work in this day because the conditions are different. So getting your foot in the door with all the organizations that we worked before, I don't think that's going to be a problem. UKK will welcome you guys as long as you guys are active. I don't. you haven't had any younger generation folks joining that organization. So I think they might be happy to see you being active.
And we can facilitate all the introductions as well too.
Yeah.
Like whatever organizations, we can help you navigate the Ukrainian community. I think we spend maybe too much time trying to be inclusive and work with the community, you know, compared to like some other organizations like Razom, they just did their own thing, right? So, you know, I think like we know all the organizations, you know, people, I don't know, in the New York area, whatever, like all the legal entities, the ways how you can, I don't know, get space, how do you get financing, where do you organize events? We've done all of that. We can help you. We can tell you, like, we can get you in touch directly with the people. And
I think it's important to stay in touch with them. Just don't let it bog you down if they don't follow something with you. Because at the end of the day, they have great resources. You know, the Institute has a great venue that you can use. You know, help them volunteer or whatever. If any of you are in New York, and they'll work with you. They're not gonna make you pay things out of your own pocket. Same thing with the credit unions, you know, they'll help you out as long as they see that you're doing something useful.
May I ask a question just based on the experience that you had like in the years when you were an active organization? Do you suggest, I just want to clarify, do you suggest to, well, let's say there are 103 of us in the chat, like in Telegram, and we're from different institutions. Do you suggest to, for all of us, just do like one organization collectively? Because in opposed to that, what we currently trying to
out of
achieve,
100
like,
people, you'll have 5 active people.
Yeah,
people will actually do everybody
but,
else won't do shit. Like people will say, oh, I want to get involved, whatever, but when it comes to actually doing stuff, like, yeah, people get busy with real life, and no, you'll end up with 5 active people. And then, you know, you can have different events or different projects or whatever. And if people want to get involved, in you can organize like temporary volunteers, because sometimes somebody might have like a little bit of time, you know, this week or that month. Other times they're busy, so let them work whenever they're free. You know, just be flexible. I think we try to do like more rigid structure. It doesn't work because nobody's paying you for this. You got other stuff. You have college. You have to, you know, maybe part-time work, maybe internships. You know, you're not gonna have like a steady amount of time that you can dedicate to it. If you try to, kudos to you. We did.
Yeah, and I'll just chime in a little bit. So yeah, I would agree that, like, look, if you want to do the non-for-profit status, and if you guys will have enough activity, you can get it within like 6 months. In terms of the organization structure, I agree. If you just have like 5 committed people, I guess throughout the US that would lead the organization, and you can brand all the stuff. Like, you can basically create an umbrella organization in each college, and, you know, it's kind of like you can do stuff on campus and cross market it, say that, you know, SUSTA is doing that, right? Yeah. So it's kind of like it's really like, I guess, like the decentralized organization is the best. So like, for example, to give you like a Razom, you know, like Razom is also a very decentralized organization. They have people that historically would like lead a project. If someone, like, I don't know, like there was the one girl that was super interested in doing toy drive. Like, is that one person led that, like, most of that project. Obviously she would kind of over time build a team around it, but like you still need a leader that kind of pulls the project, whatever the project may be, right? And, you know, if you kind of have kind of this decentralized organization that brings people in, you know, they will have people doing stuff locally that would kind of cross brand, and you can be creative in terms of how you finance it, right? So obviously for colleges, if you're doing stuff on campus, you can get a budget, right, on campus. And like, I don't know how things are now, but like historically, like even in Baruch, you can get a couple thousand easy, like if you're a brand new organization, right? In terms of here, like if you want to do something bigger, like obviously a lot of stuff like ended up like we would get involved in like political stuff, right? Where then you kind of co-sponsor with our other organization, and usually we would just do marketing. If it's like, you know, Euromaidan protest, we would just do like marketing and outreach. And we had like, I think, a MailChimp newsletter and all that stuff, right? And you kind of have to have consistency to kind of, you know, build your community up, which sounds like what you guys are doing. You know, and yeah, and you know, kind of, you know, maybe that's kind of the direction you guys go. And
Okay.
in terms of getting money in the organization, that's where the credit unions come in. They will just write a blank check. You know, they don't really care what's the legal status of the organization. Like, obviously, you'll probably open a bank account with them. It's just you will have to most likely meet them in person and make the pitch. Like, that's what we did. We went to the bank physically, pitched them an idea. We made a presentation, which I think I shared with some of you guys of what we're trying to do. And yeah, they just give you the check.
I see.
You know?
May I ask you one last question? Just I want to respect everyone's time.
Yeah.
So with however we organize the structure, like whether we'll take over the one that existed or recreate new one, however we organize different like organization in each institution, that's irrelevant. Can you tell me about the challenges you had with succession? Because the problem that I see, like if you do not have or like continuity on each individual institution, like let's say you graduated, Stanislav graduated, and there's no continuity because like 5 of you kept it together, and there's no passing the baton down the line to someone who like undergrad.
That's exactly the problem. So what, like I never aspired to be a president of SUSTA. Stanislav and some of the other folks just stopped being as active, and I was the only one that was doing these professional networking events, and that's why it kind of dragged on longer than it did. And then like nobody was there. As I said, you know, like it's all about committed students. And at that time, you know, like we were talking after like Euromaidan, there was a spike of interest, and they were like, it was for like 2 years after Euromaidan, that was like a big committed community of students that we were able to kind of consolidate. And we worked cross organizations. Many of them went to other organizations. Many of them are still with Razum today, or you know, some of them are with like you know, UKK, and you know, they're still kind of active in the community. But it's kind of tough to, you know, technically SUSTA was supposed to just focus on students and, you know, kind of building this network. And I don't know whether it's sustainable, because you don't have, maybe it'll be more sustainable now because there's a lot of Ukrainians that came through like U4U, you know, and like all these other programs. And there's like a big influx of Ukrainians that came to the United States.
I think let's finish and then I'll have a word. Sorry.
Yeah, and so it's kind of, it's in order for it to be sustainable, you need, that's you pointed like a very good point, right? You need to effectively have someone that wants to take over, right? And so generally what that means in college speak is that you have enough freshmen that are Ukrainian that want to take over, right? That you're like catching them early on. And maybe like we've tried like working with other youth organizations. I think we've reached out to what's it called, SUM, right? SUM is another big organization. Like we went to Ukrainian schools, we worked with them, but at the same time it's kind of like you're looking for leaders, right? Like, and unfortunately I don't know, like obviously with war and everything that's happening, I think the mentality of Ukrainians is changing. But at the time when we were doing, like most of people were more like economic migrants, and they were like, oh, you know, like let me figure out how to get a job first, you know, before I can start like dedicating my time. Like now it's like very different, you know, because like Euromaidan was a big kind of splash in like recognizing like the Ukraine is an important topic, right? There were many people that are, you know, like I don't know, building careers in that now, you know, but it kind of died down. It was not like front page news like the war is today, right? So it kind of like there was like a year or so where it was a big deal, and then it like no, like everybody kind of stopped caring.
Yeah, you touched upon what I wanted to say. Look, you guys have to understand one thing. The folks that built most of the organizations here in Canada, those were like, you know, Ounupá guys that migrated, okay? Like hardcore patriots that, you know, wrote a third of their check every single month to build a small Ukraine here in the US because they knew that they might not never be able to come back to Ukraine and see a free Ukraine. That's why they dedicated so much resource and so much time towards building these organizations here and to lobby to continue their fight, just not with the gun in their hand, but through political means, etc. This wave of people is very different. Even now, the ones that are running from Ukraine, most of them don't give a shit. Let me put it bluntly. That's the truth. Most people care about making money or just having an opportunity to come to America just because there's you for you or whatever. That's the truth. You're not gonna get the same people that came here in the 40s and 50s who wrote a third of their check every month to build a Ukrainian organization. That's not gonna happen. Be realistic about it. With the succession thing, I'll tell you how it worked previously in Zoom or Plus, for example. They had yes, like Zoom was mostly for kids, right? But once they sort of grew up and graduated, they were still part of the organization. So there was like nobody ever pushed anybody or sort of graduated anybody from the organization. Everybody stayed on. Same thing with Plus. They just got other responsibilities. So I think that's why they survived. And the student organization, if it's going to survive, it needs to sort of establish some sort of a role for folks that graduate after college.
Yeah, like maybe an alumni association or something, or the way to keep people engaged. Because we were thinking about that, but like I don't know, like it's not as easy to keep people interested. And sorry, go ahead.
I have actually a practical question since we touched this. So how much are you guys keeping in touch with like your network, like so to say, of alumni of SUSTA?
I moved to Pennsylvania. I don't keep in touch with anybody. I live in the middle.
All right, so I will say, like, I still know like I'd say a lot of people that are at least in the New York community. They're still here. Like I still see them at other organizations, and I think to a certain degree, the issue that we also had here in New York is that you had too many Ukrainian organizations, and everybody was kind of pulling in a different direction, which I don't know, maybe it's changed now, and I don't know. Like we were one of the few that was trying to be consolidatory and try to, like, when we do an event, we would, I don't know, we don't care, we'll put as many logos as we can. We would cross market with other people. We'll try to include, we were trying to be inclusive. But in the end of the day, like a lot of the non-for-profits, they get funded through donations, right? And they would still kind of view it as competition or whatever. So, like they would, like in the end of the day, everybody still needs to raise money to exist, right? Like all of these Ukrainian non-for-profits, they basically need to collect donations in order for them to continue. And that was actually the issue of some of the older organizations, is that, like there were no young people that wanted to be a part of them. There's like, I don't know, what's that organization that, like, was it for the women? There was like a Ukrainian women organization, something like that. Like it was like a core of like old ladies that was trying to keep it afloat. And they were trying to keep relevant. Like I think Ochisu has been struggling as well to attract young people. Even UKK, like honestly, like UKK, like they have a budget and everything, and they're still, obviously now they're, they play an important role, and but they honestly, they don't have that much money to operate, and there's like not that many young people involved.
Here's the thing, guys. You have to realize it's not a good situation in the US with Ukrainian organizations. The politics, they try to like fight over the shit that was built by the previous by the previous generation. They don't appreciate it as much. That's the hard truth. Okay, they fight over buildings. Like many of them are going bankrupt. Even Ukakai, I think, like that building in freaking Second Avenue, it's about to like go bankrupt. Like when I came in, the first thing I saw was freaking rooms on the first floor that they couldn't rent out, full of boxes on 2nd Avenue. This is the stupidest shit I've seen. Let me tell you. But it exists in every single organization, because like there are a bunch of good people there, but there are a bunch of like people who are there who want to just simply like розпиляти все, що там є, всі активи, які залишилися, поділити бабки і все. На тому закінчилось.
Okay, here's my question.
So you have
again,
to be mindful, by the way, of that. I'm sorry to interrupt. Like many organizations will think you're an imposter who wants to sort of get in the way of their ambitions. You have to be mindful of that. You know, do your thing, volunteer where necessary, cooperate where necessary, see where it benefits you.
Based on the feedback that we're getting from you, it's do not deal with money, because there are other organizations that deal with money and maybe more professionally.
No, you're gonna need to deal with money.
Why? Like, so
because you need to function.
No, so we meeting online. We have, let's say, like we have any event that is on campus. Each organization has them on campus, and they have funding through campus funding. What is the point for you to then have a bank account, or like for you to be a registered organization? Because then it kind of like falls into the same thing as you're saying, that if we have an organization that is competing with Razum, I don't know, Ukraine, whatever other things you named, but then the benefit of our community being in existence is maybe we will not raise $10 million collectively. So but amount of work we will put into getting $10,000 is just like it's a waste of energy and effort. But what we can do, we can have an influence on in the news cycle, in I don't know, social media, things that students or young generation can do that you don't really need to raise money for.
Look, it's about project, not money. Figure out what you want to do, what projects, put a proposal together, then go to the credit unions, they'll give you money for it. Simple as that.
Yeah,
don't think about it like,
just,
oh, you need to raise $10 million and then you'll start working. No, like that, it doesn't work. It doesn't work like that. Same thing like with the business. You get an idea first, you get a sort of minimum viable product, and then you start raising money for it. Same thing.
Just to add to a good point, the reason why it's good to have at least some money in an umbrella organization that you can leverage. You know, you'll have limitations which you can do on campus, and so what another organization that can have more centralized pool of money can help you do is that they can help you do bigger stuff and have more impact. You know, like I don't know to which extent you guys want to take it, but I don't know, like if you want to, I don't know, like help do rallies or something to support Ukrainian cause or something, you'll need more than $2,000 to do that, you know. And then if you want to do something bigger, like let's say one of the aspirations that we had, and we kind of failed at this, like we wanted to have like a way how to keep a digital community very efficiently and how to kind of keep members engaged. So that time, you know, we had like a bunch of groups and stuff, and it was very disorganized. But if you can find a better way, maybe invest a little bit in like an automation and tech, I don't know, have nice newsletters like through MailChimp that could be automatable, and you can kind of generate content. You can kind of like, it's all about, as you're saying, marketing, right? Like even for marketing, you might need to spend some dollars to outreach to the community, right? How are you gonna get more people involved, right? Like, and I don't think that, you know, your college budget, your student organization budget will help you, like will allow you to spend on like Facebook marketing, for example, right? So like these things, that's why you need, in terms of to the point of Stanislav, like you don't have to spend a lot of time nickeling and diming people for donations. You can go fundraise through Ukrainian credit unions. They are by statute are supposed to, like what a credit union is basically, you know, it's kind of like it represents all of its members. So it's in its constitution to give out money to Ukrainian organizations because they're not focused on profits. So you have at least 5 in the New York area. Some of them are fairly big, like Self-Reliance has like $1 billion in assets. So they can write, you know, $5,000 to $10,000 checks easy. And you can, if you like structure well and you have something kind of very organized and meaningful, we'll help you. I'll help you, introduce you to all of these CEOs, and we'll help you pitch, and you can get, you know, I don't know, like 20 grand or something in the bank. If you guys have like something, I think right now you can, like other organizations, I know like Razum is getting like 10 to 20 like every
Yeah,
year.
but Vasarazm has gotten big, and like everybody sees
Yeah,
what
like
they're doing. That's really
they
important.
donate, like credit unions donate like $50,000 and up to other
You know,
efforts as well. So like I think you'll have to build a personal relationships with them, and as they get comfortable, you know, like we were able to get what, like maybe 10 grand or something like that, I don't know, like through
over the
the
course,
whatever
over
2
the course.
years, over like
Yeah.
2 years, but they would give us 5 to 7 like at a time or something like that.
Also, guys,
We did maybe 2 to 3 times, something like
I
that.
think what's very important is that you figure out why do you want to do this, for what purpose, and have sort of a like long-term goal. It'll help with succession, and it'll help people understand who are your prospective, you know, members, why they're joining. I think for me, the vision was, you know, we need to build a community in the long run. So maybe 1% of the people that we sort of bring together can become really successful and then do something useful for Ukraine. Meaning go back to Ukraine or invest money in Ukraine, start a business there, etc. That was my vision for it, a sort of long-term vision. I tried going back to Ukraine a couple of times, didn't work. I mean, I went back, you know, spent some money, failed. But who knows, maybe in the future I'll go again. You know, I'd
Yeah,
love to, you know, contribute some of my what I have in here, and maybe, you know, maybe one day I'll become more financially fortunate and be able to invest the money into businesses in Ukraine. And maybe, you know, through this community, through some of the connections that are established through this organization, you guys might be able to do here, maybe collaborate in the future, you know, help economically or politically or whatever in the future, and just help each other grow, you know, professionally, culturally, or whatever. Just maybe some of you will go back, maybe some of you will stay, but, you know, sort of keep in the back of your mind who you are, where you came from, and do something to help the country in whatever capacity you can.
great. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you, Stanislas. Thank you, Vasil. A lot of actually very useful information. It's good to hear about like your experience and like some of the ideas that you mentioned, like when we are ready to fundraise, for example, for our own events, that we are capable of, you know, kind of like presenting a viable idea, like a doable idea, and a strong team to accomplish that. That would be a great resource to actually like use your knowledge for that. So I think for now, like I will express like my my understanding of how it works currently. I've been with the organization since March or like April last year, this year actually, 2022. Well, time flies. Seems like 10 years have passed. But anyhow, it seems like we are at the stage of uniting schools. We have a passive community of 100 people right now, for which we share information. We cannot control like if everyone like reads it and like reads in it, but I would say like there is a core of like 15 like /12, 15 people who are appearing in the meetings, who are pitching in like with their ideas, like whatever. Like we have a couple of extremely active members, and for that I will just remind everyone who has been in the previous meeting and probably share with someone who just joined. So what we are currently working on, like this, that we have an initiative group who are basically building a web resource to collect the intelligence about how different communities do their fundraising activity on campuses. And in here, like, I think it touches a couple of points that we have covered before in the discussion. So we are not trying to take over like all the management in this case. As I mentioned at the beginning, we're not trying to tell people what to do like in Chicago or in California. We are trying to collect the intelligence of what they did, how it worked for them, what didn't work, share it with other clubs, and create something that is kind of like that everyone can refer to when they need some like support in terms of marketing materials, or like what shall we do, like create like as you mentioned, probably like a flyers or like booklets or just like a Google sheet.
Yeah, create like best practices, suggestions, etc.
Exactly, like what worked. So we have this like open source and collaborative fundraising platform that is currently under construction. I've seen the website today. It looks actually good. And I think that in the next meeting, which will be in 2 weeks from now, same time, Sunday, 8 p.m. EST, one of our members who is developing it will be presenting it, giving like a workshop like of what each club has to do, like to if they want to share their experience or if they want to learn from someone else. And we're also trying to build in some incentive system. So maybe for that, we might need like to accumulate some funds or even like simply. So for now, we are using a bunch of opportunities that are free of charge, like some resources in terms of like Canva account, which is like mostly for nice pictures and nice media, which was given in terms of this like free for Ukraine businesses. Then like we have using a free software domain, which is, of course, it's not like what we want exactly, but it kind of like gives us an opportunity.
If you needed someone to buy your domain, we'll pitch in with Vasa and get your domain.
Yeah,
Amazing.
And some of this other stuff as well. Let us know. We'll pitch a couple $100.
Sure, absolutely. So we'll stay in touch then. So for that, we probably need like just operational costs. We need to talk to our like project team and to estimate the cost that like what we would need, but I don't assume that that would be like a huge like amount. That won't be a fortune, because like all these services are like $10-15, but they might be like for a year or like for a lifetime, whatever. So it's like very manageable fund. And then again, like as I mentioned, so what our project team is also doing, they're also trying to build in the incentive system, kind of like share this free resource that we obtain as a central organization with member organizations, where, for example, in some schools, we don't have organization at all. There is like one person joining us because they somehow heard about the name SUSTA from their uncle, dad, friend, relative, whatever. And that is something that we see that can encourage like a higher participation, maybe. We hope
that's why I was telling you guys that perhaps umbrella structure is not the best structure. Perhaps like a parallel structure to these clubs, where everybody, whether they're part of a club or whether they're just like a one person from a school where there aren't many, or where they're the only Ukrainian there, but can still join in the efforts and volunteer or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly like what our thinking was from the beginning, because I mean, at my school, I'm a graduate from University of Florida, and like honestly, until like March this year, I didn't know that we had like so many Ukrainian students or like Ukrainian people in town. It's a small town in Florida. So anyhow, so yeah, it just like helped with the process of like setting things up in like local communities. Even like for, I don't know, tabling event, they might need to have like some money to purchase cookies. So that's something that we can share the knowledge first, and maybe like in the future, we can also share some resources in the sense of like based on like participation based or like whatever, like we can work out those schemes, but definitely. And yeah, so So far, we have like 5 minutes. We try to keep usually the meeting running for 1 hour, but we can stay a little bit longer than that. If you have to go now or like at 9 p.m. when the meeting ends, you feel free to do so. If you have any questions, comments, and if you want to continue conversation, that is fine too. I will not stop the meeting. But I would like to ask here, like from our members who joined us today. So any events, any news from your communities that we should know, any initiatives going on?
I feel like I've been talking a lot today. I do apologize for that. If anyone wants to talk, just raise your hand or just like go ahead and interrupt me. We recently learned, I'm at the Stanford community, so we recently learned that our neighboring community at Berkeley started their own student organization, and they partner with some Ukrainian nonprofits and with also some partners here in Silicon Valley to run a half marathon on November 12th or 13th. I can be wrong about the date, and they raising funds to rebuild some of the schools in Ukraine. Right now, they're working, I think, on 3 schools in Chernihiv, and I invited one of the representatives from that organization to our chat on Telegram, but she wasn't able to make it to our meeting today. But something that I can ask them to share with you, Maria, if that would be useful. And the point of that fundraising, or like that whole initiative, that you can participate in is run regardless of your location. So if you want to take part of it, like in New York or like somewhere in Australia, that's. But the point is that we have a newer student organization, Pennsylvania. Yeah. So the point is we have a new student organization. Yeah.
So sorry, one idea for you if you're interested. There is a Ukrainian running club, and I know Anya Shpuk that runs it on Facebook. It's a it's probably the most active Ukrainian running community. Like they're all over.
Where
I
are they
recommend
based?
you to work. I think they're all over. Like most of them are in New York, but I think like they are all over. Many of them like moved out and stuff. So I don't know. Like
Can
it's
you
a
send
big
me in the
running.
chat?
Yeah, I'll send you. I think that's one idea, and then I had another idea, but I forgot on the. Yeah, I'll send you if you want. I can introduce you to Anya Shpuk on Facebook. She founded it, but I see it's super active. They are like running all the time. They have a Shavanka run every August and stuff. It's like a big event that maybe, I don't know, 500 runners and stuff. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Just add me on Facebook and I'll introduce you to Anya directly.
I don't know what is your last name. I'm so sorry. It only says your first name here.
Yeah. So I'll write it up here.
I can also say that here we're trying to organize some sort of, I know at our school here last year, I wasn't here, but they ran a market where they sold a lot of handmade Ukrainian items to raise money, because the leader of our Ukrainian club also has his own nonprofit, which they buy tourniquets and body armor and thermal vision for soldiers in Ukraine. And we're trying to organize some sort of event like that, but with other universities in the Boston area as well. And yeah, trying to organize the market between different universities.
Yeah, I'm actually from Boston, also from Northeastern, and Sasha reached out about that. But I guess other news about the area. So today, the Orthodox Church. So for context, in Boston, basically the way it works is the Catholic Church has Plast, and everybody from the church goes to Plast, and the Orthodox Church has Sum. But it kind of organized that way. But I'm a part of Plast, and so the Orthodox Church held like a food fair today and a lot of Ukrainian food. And then this week, our club is doing a fundraiser on campus. So we're just fundraising for Erasmus. Last year, we managed to fundraise over 30,000 for them.
Wow.
So we'll be holding a fundraiser this week and next week. And apart from that, we just have a midweek meeting for just a small casual social, making Veranik, and that's it.
What is the fundraiser like? What do you do for fundraiser?
So mainly we have a bunch of the members created or designed or made some things that we sell. So for example, if we have just random stickers that we sell, like some of these are just, this one was just from a poster that one of my friends made for a rally in Seattle, and I liked it, and we made stickers out of it. And so we just sell the stickers, and some members make like, I don't know, like they've made flowers in the past, and we try to talk to other clubs, like a lot of the art clubs donate their time and their work, and they sell it, and the proceeds go to whatever we're fundraising for. And
Okay.
we also just hand out flyers and try to get people to learn about what's going on. And a lot of people just donate without buying anything, which is great.
That's
Okay.
really great, guys.
How do you collect donations? How do you accept donations?
So the school legally only allows us to connect donations through their donation platform, but it's very bad, and literally no club uses it. So all the clubs instead just go through Venmo or
Okay.
cash. But yeah, we just go through Venmo. We record it as donations in case we ever need to, in case anybody gets audited. But the school doesn't really offer any realistic way of collecting money officially. So
Okay. Yeah, that's good. Just asking because we've been talking about it like a lot in the previous meetings as well, like how to raise donations, like what.
By the way, guys, what you can do is like share ideas and just do a one-page or short description of different events that different people hold in different parts of the country, and just maybe something that people do in California or Boston will work elsewhere, and people elsewhere might want to use it. So that's just an idea.
Yeah, that's the whole point. Like the whole idea of like this gathering is that we are again like planning for it. We are already know the concept of how are we going to do that. We have like a web resource of like where we can all see it like with the convenience. And so far we've been discussing it in the meetings like this. But like in the future, we want to create like some digital resource so that it's easier, like, and kind of like always accessible to do that. Yeah.
Also, Maria, we have two other events that are happening at Stanford. So on the 4th of November, we're planning on screening Muidum Ketehi and Antonio Lukic agreed to do like a Q&A with us. And we also participating this week. There is a United Nations Association Film Festival. It's based in Stanford. It's 25th year of this festival here, and there are 2 Ukrainian movies there will be screened here. It's not like the first this film festival. It's not our doing. I helped them to submit the film for the festival, so I'm participating in it. But the other one, so we're doing, but it's not for fundraising. It's more for like just spread awareness amongst undergrads, especially like our target audience, like undergrads. Just so like, hey, there's interesting Ukrainian movies, and like we should watch it. Like now with the last week we had a meeting with Ukrainian developers and the startuppers that were here at Stanford, and we had a meeting with Anthony Blinken, who was visiting here on campus. So just trying to like sort of bring more awareness to the student population of campus that, hey, they're like Ukrainians, they're kind of cool, and all of that.
Great. And guys, like for all about what you told us about your campaigns, please, our Instagram handle, I typed it in chat. Send us your social media materials. Even if you didn't plan to do social media, please do find a person like who can just type on a blue and yellow square, like events with like the name of your event, like time, date, what is going to happen, like, and if it's like a donation based, that QR code or whatever, how you see it. We are sharing it on our stories, like the collection of like all events that we can capture from other clubs, so you can scroll through them to see like different formats and like get some ideas of how you can do it on social media. But like please make it visible on social media, and like if you want to make it even more, like tag us and we will repost it and tag someone else.
By the way, a good resource I'm going to recommend Fiverr.com. You guys have, by the way, two options. For like making flyers and stuff, you can either hire somebody to do it on Fiverr for $5-10, or you can have somebody perhaps centrally, a person who can help, organizations all over America, do posters or flyers or designs. I think like back in the day, that's sort of what we tried to do, is have like certain people centrally and provide resources to people on the spot at different college organizations. We even sent money, I think, to like a club in Chicago. I don't remember which one. Yeah,
The one
Fiverr.
that I shared in chat, right? Okay.
Yep.
Cool. We'll definitely check it out.
Yeah, and then one other thing that I'll kind of mention, because someone recently reached out to me about it. There's a program called Ukrainian World Scholars. I don't know if you guys heard, a Global Scholar, something like that. It's basically a program that helps Ukrainians get into universities in the US. And I think, so I knew someone that was a part of that organization. I think they reached out to me and were asking about SUSTA and stuff. So maybe I'll connect you guys, and maybe there could be some opportunities to work together. Or,
Yeah,
or do something
absolutely.
together.
I think that as like having a lot of people in the place, we can like involve, like if person is going to some local area, we can connect with a local club. And actually we have several members of our of local clubs who are already a part of UGU, and they are helping like to review all the applications, etc. So some of our members, we've heard about that, and thank you for mentioning that. Actually, like do mention to your friend, to your contact about us, that we exist, as such a community exists. If they need to reach out, you can share like our either Instagram. I will type our.
No, I'll introduce you guys personally. You guys can take it from there, whoever.
Okay, amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is our Gmail, just in case to reach out, sharing it with everyone. Yeah, so let's then stay in touch, and hopefully we'll talk soon. And our next meeting is in 2 weeks from now, so it will make it November 6th. I already showed this slide. So if you have any desire to join us in the next meeting, like to hear about like some other talks, the link will stay the same, the Zoom one that I shared with you. So please do come to talk to us. Yeah. So any other outstanding questions, comments, concerns, suggestions? All right. Well, thank you very much, all guys, for your time. It was a great talk. A lot of knowledge shared, a lot of ideas bounced again, and like good luck with all your events on campus. We would be happy to hear back from you about like what were the results of those campaigns as well. That's something that we want to learn more.
Yeah, let me actually, I apologize, just quick questions. Did someone from your group kind of started marketing and using the SUSTA page at all on Facebook, or is that something that we should need to revisit?
We wanted to actually probably discuss also with you. Let me actually stop sharing. So thank you. Oh.